It's Helen, and today I will show the data model I built through an ETL process using SSIS. So firstly, before I run the package in SSIS, I just truncate on the data in the table I have, and after that I check on the value here. So I did leave the stage table here because it could take me around 1 minute to run that, and all I do is just load the data from the CSV file to the stage table. On the other table, like the fact and on the dim and error table, there are no data in it now. So we will go and run the package over here, and after that we can come back and check it to see how the data was loaded there. Yeah, so the data I use is from this website, from the road traffic, the data from the UK, and in the whole table, stage table, we have more than 4,600,000,000 record or something. So firstly, I loaded the data from the CSV file to the stage table. And after that, I do look at the data, and there's some no value in the fact, and I replace on that with the 0 instead of no. And also there's some semi-aggregation there, so I drop up on the field with the semi-aggregation so that we can keep the same grain in the fact table. And after that, I pick on the field I need for the analyze later on. And based on the stage data, I built on the dimension table. So I have 5 here. The dim calendar, I built it from the SQL statement. And on the other, the row category, the local authority, direction, and hours dimension, I built it use the data from the stage table. So on each of those table, I did create the primary key so that we can join with the fact table and analyze our data. And also, we also have the error table for each dimension. So whenever there's a duplicate data, this record will go to the error table. Let's say when we run it twice, so on the duplicate will be conflict with the constraint of the primary key, and it will go there to the error table. And after that, I create the fact table. So on the fact table, we also have the foreign key. And yeah, that's it for the data model. So it's finished running. So now we will go and look at the SSMS to see how the table loading. So before that, I will go to my Excel file and let it on refresh. Later on, we will use that for the data validation. So now we can look at on the table now. Yeah, so the fact table have the same record like the stage 1. And we have on the dim table logic. So on the error table, for now, we don't have any error. So it's on 0, but on the second time I run that, it should be set some of the data loaded here. So the other thing I want to look at is the fact table I have here. So on my fact table, we have firstly the primary key of the fact table is the count point ID. So actually it's the originally from the stage table. It's already there. And on the other 5, like the direction ID, the day key, hour ID, PK local authority ID, and road category ID. So I created that on my dimension table, like the primary key, and I join it back to the stage table to get on the key here. So they are on integer, and those foreign keys, we will use that to join with the dimension table to analyze later on. And on those fields, as I mentioned before, we have some null value. So I did replace that with on the 0 instead of null. And there's some field that's with the semi-aggregation. So I drop up on that field. So here the shape of our fact table. So now I can come back to the package here. So now I will run it the second time. I will disable the dim calendar because that's one I created that, so there no error to be checked there and no duplicate value. And also on the fact, because it came from the same table, so there no error to be checked. So I just skip that for now. So we just run on the dimension table here to see how the error being trapped. Yeah, so when it's running, I will go to Excel. So here's my data model. So the dim calendar here's on the field I have at the key and the direction. So I do have the direction ID here and the other field direction of travel and direction name. On the hour, we will look at that later on, but we have our ID, the hour, and I also created the field hour of the day so we can see the range of the hour. And on the row category, I did create the row cat names to have more description of the row name and the ID, the primary key of the table, the row category ID. And the same thing with the local authority. Yeah, so we did that. And also we combine the reason field here so that we can analyze later on. So here the fact table with on the foreign keys. Yeah, now you can go here and validate our data. Yeah, so that the number we have from the original table, 4,657,464. Yeah, so that's on the years we have here, and that's good for the dim calendar. And after that, for the direction, yeah, we have 6 of them, but 2 of them I combine it into one based on the definition. And here we also have the same number like before, and the hour of the date, yeah, the same number from the count. And after that, we can look at the reason name. Yeah, we have 12 reason and the number is still the same. In this table, we can also look at the local authority name. Yeah, there are 212 of them, so it's a little bit long, but we still have the same number here. Yeah, and after that, we can also look at the row category. Yeah, so here the name, I type it in to have more description there. Before, we just have the category. Yeah, we see that, and it can be a little bit hard to read. Yep, so that's all the dimension table we have, and based on the number we have here, we that's a good model and we're good to go. Yeah, so now the packet run the second time, and we can just go back here, check on the value on the table we have. Yeah, so the fact table and on the dimension, they keep the same, but the error tables, now we do have more record to come in. So whenever they duplicate, the error will go here. So if I run it the third time on the error record, we also go to the error table. Yeah, so that's all we have for today.